beep, 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 beep. Welcome to the Court of the Edijester. We've got a cracking article for you today from the Telegraph. Become more a teacher, do the usual. Here we go, right? So, this is about the Hate Crime Act that's now law in Scotland, or will be, I think, tomorrow morning, or thereabouts. And the headline is, Scotland's Hate Crime Act will make opinions dangerous and play into the trans lobby hands. Critics say Humza Yousaf's new law is a state-sponsored assault on free speech, with alleged incidents going on record, even with no evidence. Where's the government? Where are the government on this? Where are you? Come on, guys, it's time. For God's sake. We are looking, it says, then another title, a subtitle, we are looking at an army of local spies, potentially taking anonymous reports from other local spies and passing them on to the police. This is the Stasi, by the way, in case any of you don't get it yet. And if you're young enough not to know what that is, go look it up. Right? So imagine living in a world, we begin, where sitting in your own living room and saying men can be women could result in the police logging a hate crime against your name. Imagine, too, that your legally protected right to express such an opinion counted for nothing because all that mattered was whether the person who heard what was said, the person who heard what you said, perceived it to be offensive, then it would be recorded as a hate crime. If you live in Scotland, this will be what will be happening on April the 1st, which, as you know, is April Fool's Day. Sadly, this is not an April Fool's, folks. So it's not a prank, it's actually real. Billed as a necessary legislative update to a hodgepodge of anti-hate lawsuits. They've got to go. Anti-hate laws, it finally abolishes the offence of blasphemy, last prosecuted in 1843. I mean, that's, got to go. It extends the offence of stirring up hatred to cover not only race and religion, but also age, disability, sexual orientation, and transgender identity and variations in sex characteristics. So it's not even sticking to what the equality law is. It's an overreach on a grand scale. Politicians have warned that the new law will be weaponised by the radical trans lobby to criminalise anyone who states their belief in the immutability of someone's birth sex. Meanwhile, the Telegraph has been told that Police Scotland, which has just announced it will no longer investigate certain low-level crimes, is diverting resources so it can investigate the expected influx of accusatory phone calls it will receive from those offended by other people's opinions. Can you see what it is yet, folks? The force has promised to investigate every hate crime complaint it receives. Every. And if the complainant, or victim as they are officially referred to, insists that they were upset by something they perceive to be a hate crime, it will be logged as a non-crime hate incident, an NCHI, even if there was not a shred of evidence of any crime being committed. You must recall, and for those of you who don't, again, go and look it up, this was what We Are Fair Cop existed for. Harry Miller, Sarah Fillmore, the people that did the work, was to eradicate this concept, and yet we still have it. We still have it. The government are absolutely remiss in allowing the police to continue doing this. Absolutely remiss. It continues. Little wonder that women's rights campaigners fear that the new law will be used by trans radicals to settle scores and silence anyone who dares to challenge their worldview. You bet it will. It will be minutes before it starts. That's all. Because that's what they do. They go after you. Reputational destruction. That's what they're after. If George Orwell was still around, he could perhaps write a book about it and call it 2024. There is no big brother in this story, though. Only members of the public who are being encouraged to call the police if they are upset that someone doesn't agree with them. Or if they want to make an anonymous complaint, they can do so through a network of hate crime third-party reporting centres, which include university campuses, a sex shop in Glasgow, a salmon factory in Berwickshire, a mushroom farm in North Berwick was removed from the list after a certain amount of ridicule in the media for obvious reasons. Mushrooms, darkness, bullshit, feed them, right? Horseshit. Susan Smith, the director of the feminist campaign group for Women in Scotland, paints a bleak picture of the country Scotland is about to become. She says, we are looking at an army of local spies, potentially anonymous reports. Some people are very gleeful about this, and they're going to report everyone they don't like. It's very Stasi and absolute insanity, which of course is what it is. Absolute unmitigated insanity. One of the third-party reporting centres is the sex shop Luke and Jack, marketed as passionate purveyor of pleasure products. It's a nice bit of illustration there, Luke and Jack. We are passionate purveyors of pleasure products. a safe space for LGBTQI folk in Glasgow. Oh, they're part of the nut jobs, right? Okay. As Smith discusses the prospect of staff there taking down details of alleged crimes, like pseudo-policemen, she begins to laugh because saying it out loud sounds so ridiculous. But this is the situation Scotland has arrived at under the SNP. Dr. Michael Foran, we love Michael. Dr. Michael Foran, lecturer in public law at the University of Glasgow, says the new legislation brings the criminal law into your home, even when you're having private conversations, for the love of God. He says that the classic example might be a teenager who is particularly upset that their parents don't agree with them on something like trans rights, and they anonymously report them for a hate crime because they won't understand what that means to what's going to happen to their parents. Do you not think, from a tin hat perspective, we're only a few years off black bagging people? This is deeply worrying, folks. You know, if you really love free speech and free thought, you should be speaking out about this as loudly as you can. Humza Useless, the First Minister of Scotland and well-known user of scooters, who has championed the new law, that was glorious, I have it on repeat, who has championed the new law after introducing it when he was Justice Secretary, has insisted that the bar for criminality will be set so high that no one who simply expresses an opinion will be convicted of a crime. That's not the point, Humza Useless. I think there's a religious element to this. I think this man is a religious zealot, right? I think he's brought his religion into this. I'm happy to be proved wrong. I'd be delighted to be proved wrong. But I think that's what's happening here. He's a zealot. He's a religious zealot. He's brought his religion into this. Nobody will be convicted. They'll turn up and take everything from you. They'll stop you from working. It's the process of the punishment, and he knows that. Nasty little man. Critics of the new law say that it is beside the point. The legislation gives police the power to seize personal property, computers, mobile phones, to search for evidence of criminality when a complaint of a hate crime is made. They can empty your home and find anything they want that they can use. You don't get this, then you're obviously living in La La Land. Absolute La La Land. God. And they can hold on to those things till a decision is made of whether or not to charge you. That could be up to 2 or 3 years. Scotland's gone down the pan, I'm afraid. They've gone absolutely down the pan. They might also require people accused of hate crimes to attend police stations, to be interviewed, or to give statements, or even turn up at their house. As the old saying goes, the process is the punishment. One person who knows exactly what that is like, to end up with a police file for simply expressing an opinion, is Conservative MSP Murdo Fraser. Last November, he tweeted about the Scottish Government's non-binary equality action plan. Non-binary equality action plan. This is insane. Saying choose to identify as non-binary is as valid as choosing to identify as a cat. Tiddles. Mrs. Slocum's pussy. As a cat, I'm not sure government should be spending time on action plans for either. A member of the public complained to the police, who decided no crime had been committed but recorded it as a hate incident. Telling the truth is a hate incident. Fraser only found this out when a separate complaint was made to the Scottish Parliament. The Parliament's Ethical Standards Commissioner, citing the police reference number for the hate incident. Fraser says, "We don't know how the police and the courts are going to handle complaints under the new act, which means people don't know what they can and can't say. And that, ladies and germs, is authoritarianism and totalitarianism in all its glory." And I'm going to leave it at that point because it's very well worth reading the rest. It's a really good article. So please do. Thank you once again for listening to me, Whipple. I hope you're all right. Become a warrior teacher. Buy me a coffee if you can. Usual. I'll see you all again soon, all right? Bye-bye.